fast food production. Agriculture and cultivation of food and goods through farming produces the vast majority of the world's food supply. It is thought to have been practiced sporadically for the past 13,000 years and widely established for only 7,000 years. In the long view of human history, this is just a flash in the pan compared to the nearly 2,000 years our ancestors spent gathering, hunting, and scavenging in the wild. During its brief history, agriculture has radically transformed human societies and fueled a global population that has grown from 4 million to 7 billion since 10,000 BCE and still growing. The road to the present has not been smooth. Reduced degradation, rapid population growth, diseases, changing climates, and other forces have periodically crippled food supplies, with the poor bearing the brunt of famine. We still face many of the same challenges as our ancestors. In, in addition to new and even greater threats to successfully navigate an uncertain future, we can begin by learning from the past.
Modern food production. Contemporary or modern food production is a method that uses technology to maximize the efficiency of agricultural production. Harvesting the large crop per acre or the most meat, milk, or eggs per animal, while conserving natural resources and meeting the demands of growing global population is the goal of modern farming and ranching practices. Most food and fiber production in the United States today employs modern techniques. Government-approved and scientifically tested tools such as fertilizers to encourage plant growth, insecticides to prevent loss from insects, herbicides to prevent loss from weeds, and antibiotics and growth promotants to prevent and treat diseases and improve feed efficiency are commonly practices in conventional production. The FDA, the USDA, and the EPA work together to ensure that the modern agricultural practices are safe for customers, producers, animals, and the environment. They have not required labeling of the types of production methods or aids used in productions because they have not been determined to change the health or safety of the food products.
Food production is significant to every one of us as individuals since we depend on it on a daily basis for the food we consume and for the ease it provides, but it does come with a certain drawbacks. One of those is how it affects the environment. It does have a big impact on climate change because of the use of chemicals in planting and the food wasted after the production of food. There is a wide range of food waste, including food scraps, thrown away food, and food that has not been eaten. Food waste produces tons of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change. Not only is the environment is affected, it also affects public health. Using pesticides and fertilizers that are harmful to the health of agricultural workers and farmers.
Greenhouse gas emissions. One of the problems identified in food production includes greenhouse gas emissions. Pesticides and artificial fertilizer are man-made compounds like ammonium phosphate and potassium sulfate. Is unsustainable for the reason that they are very intensive to produce and dependent on cheap fossil fuels. Fossil fuels emit greenhouse gases, which contributed to climate change because it produces hazardous air pollutants that are harmful to the environment, and human health issues such as asthma, cancer, and even death. This is a main factor for the long-term sustainability of food production. Fuel farm equipment and supplies used in conventional agriculture like tractors, graders, and combines utilize fossil fuels that result to our air pollution. These chemicals can cause acid rain, damage to crops and forests, and harm to wildlife, which huge factor that contributes to climate change and can affect the health of individuals far away from the site of food production.
The ways in which we produce food have a significant impact on how healthy our population and planet are, as well as how society and the environment are developed. The method we have to produce food has significantly altered throughout time, from focusing on providing a basic supply to now emphasizing nutrition, health, and environmental sustainability. Our demand for food has changed. Hunting and gathering. In order to feed themselves and their families for thousands of years, our ancestors hunted and gathered plants and animals, relying on cooperative efforts and bountiful conditions. During this time period, food production required manual labor that could be dangerous. It was not uncommon for food supplies to be unreliable. People were restless and would migrate in search of new food sources. Dawn of agriculture. Around 11,000 BCE, humans formed towns and communities to secure food. Agriculture originated when people started growing crops and rearing animals. The Fertile Crescent of the Middle East is widely regarded to be where the agricultural revolution began. Around 6000 BCE, most farm animals were domesticated. By 5000 BC, every continent but Australia had agriculture. As technology improved, more ships carried Middle Eastern spices, Greek wine, and olive oil, and Egyptian grain.
Mass production. Middle Ages technology began to aid in mass food production, and although crassly, the plague didn't reach Germany until the 8th century, opening a new source of grain for Europe. Wind and water-powered mills in 11th century, Europe enabled large-scale flour production. The decline of feudalism allowed agriculture to transition from substance to market-oriented. Different regions invested a lot of money in producing particular food. Farmers drained marshy land, rotated crops, and increased planting to meet urban demand. Europe agricultures produced 2.5 times more per seed than it does today. Fertilizers and machine. Fertilizers and machine have helped food production keep up with the growing population. Synthetic fertilizer greatly increased crop yields in the early 90s, eliminating the need for fallows or manure. In the 19th century, mechanized seed drills, the tractor, and electric milking machines speed up planting, harvesting, and food processing. Advances in food prevention such as canning and pasteurization allowed foods to be preserved longer and transported further, increasing food variety worldwide. The Green Revolution. In the early to mid-20th century, industrialized nations increased food production through selective plant breeding and fertilizers, but emerging countries struggled to feed their growing population. In the 1950s and 1960s, the Green Revolution was started to alive for famine. The program prioritized high-yield types of high-calorie grains like rice and wheat, developing modern agriculture globally and sparing 1 billion people from starvation.
In order to prevent such problems in food production sector, one of the biggest solutions we can provide you, in contrary to the provided problems, is that companies who produce food products begin to make power on site, or which we call sustainable energy, where every resources would be used efficiently and nothing would be wasted and less to none toxic chemicals would be emitted. Another solution is to create an eco-friendly workplace for food production sectors wherein companies won't consume and use single-use materials so that there would be less waste for the betterment of the environment.